Hello world, I've been quite obsessed about the new Abba album for the last few weeks, and I wouldn't be the first person. I do want to give a couple of shout outs to a couple of channels that I've been following as a result of this. There's a gentleman called Professor Skye, that's Skye with an E on the end, who does a very good analysis of the Voyage album from a lyrical point of view. And then there's another gentleman who looks all of about 18 or something, called Blizzards, Blizzardz, who I think I've put a feature to on my channel page, so you can just get to him from there. He's never heard, or claims to never have heard, an Abba original album in its entirety, so he decided to react to a few on his channel. So he's reacted to Arrival, the album Voulez-Vous, and most recently Voyage, from what I've seen on the channel. But both of these are taking this purely from a lyrical point of view, and the success of Abba is that their understanding of music, in particular chords and harmonies, actually has an effect on the words that is far more profound than you would ever think. But they were absolute masters of it. I've said before that Dancing Queen, for example, there isn't a happy word in there that hasn't got a minor chord attached to it. Well, a happy word is great, minor chords sound sad. And so you've got this tension building up, and it is the tension in Abba's words and their music which is what makes their songs so successful. Yeah, obviously there's the image, there's the two boys, two girls, and they were happy couples once, and blah de blah de blah, and all of that, and we wear wiggy clothes and everything. But underneath that is this fundamental understanding of what a song does to you. Alright? And Don't Shut Me Down on the new album is, I think, just such an illustration, and I just want to talk about it for a little while. Okay, so thinking about the overall layout of Don't Shut Me Down, first of all, we are expressing a woman who is probably feeling bleak, a little bit expectant, maybe a little bit excited, but there's this tinge of sadness in her. She's sitting out on the park bench, the kids have all gone home, people's lights are coming on in the apartments because it's getting dark, and she's suddenly cold, and she realises that she's got to take this plunge and go and knock on the apartment door of the person that she once had a relationship with, and kind of beg for forgiveness and I'm better now kind of thing. It's what we all do. It's a very familiar theme in a lot of Abba's songs, and the one that really jumps to your head is As Good As New. There's a fundamental difference when we get to the ending of As Good As New, and if I remember, I'll try and speak about it. But so there's our lyric. All right. Now we've got to build up some expectation in this song. Okay. So somehow or other, you know, we've got to get our thoughts from miserable and we're freezing cold and everything and he's never going to have me back, to there being this faint hope that maybe he will have me back. And, you know, that hope builds up and up and up. And the way that this is expressed in music is via the key signatures of the sections of the song. Now, I need to digress here just to say that, you know, yes, the new album is out. The songbook for the new album, I think, comes out in early December. Okay. There are some downloads available, paid downloads, legal downloads, available on musicnotes.com, which is sort of pay-as-you-go kind of thing. You buy the song, you print out the music. They're over £4 each, which means that if you were to download all 10 songs from the album, and they're not all available yet, I think side 1 is available, the rest of it's being sort of gradually dribbled out. But yeah, you've paid over £45 for a songbook, whereas if you wait for the actual songbook to come out in print, it's $16.99, I think. So that's probably the way to go. All right, I did something slightly dubious, and I just Googled the chords for Don't Shut Me Down, and I got something that's probably not very legal. It doesn't even have any kind of credit as to who wrote the song, where the publishing royalties are going to, or anything like that. But it is just the lyrics with the chords above it. And they haven't even, where we've got chords such as B flat and E flat, they've called them D sharp and A sharp. And, you know, obviously it's not correct, all right? But, you know, going back to the key center of this, we're beginning in B flat major, okay, and all the chords related to that introduction center around B flat major. We've got B flat. Now I can't sing because I'm full of catarrh, I can't hear myself, all right? But okay, so we're starting out with this B flat, all right? Then we go to the related minor of B flat, which is G minor, and then we get a little C minor, and then chord 5, which is F, which always wants to resolve back to our key chord, which is B flat. Okay, so now let's have a little look at those words. A while ago I heard the sound of children's laughter. This is nice and happy. B flat. And it's a major chord. Major chords sound happy. Right? So we've got this happy words, happy chord. Right? Now it's quiet. So I guess they left the park. We're on that G minor chord. It's sad. Right? To go with a slightly darker image, everyone's gone home, right? This wooden bench is getting harder by the hour, another minor chord, right? But then, the sun is going down, it's getting dark, she's trying to persuade herself that she's got to get herself indoors somewhere. She's sitting opposite this apartment where she used to live with her boyfriend. Alright, so we've got a little bit of expectancy coming here, alright, which is where we just get what we call a perfect cadence. That means a perfect ending, and it's chord 5 in any key leading down to chord 1. Now we're in B flat, so chord 5 is F major, alright, so the sun is going down, it's getting dark, alright, and that's your perfect cadence, alright. However, we haven't done yet, alright? She's still describing her surroundings, alright? It's getting a bit moodier, alright? Now, this chord 5 comes back again, so the sun is going down, that's chord 5, it's getting dark, that's chord 1, and then straight away, we have this chord here, which is actually chord 5 again. Now, chord 5 in B flat would be F, A and C, and you would expect that to have the F in the bass because F is the root of that chord, alright, and normally it is the root of that chord, but here for this chord here, okay, it's getting dark, and then we've got this F major chord, but instead of having F in the bass, we've got the middle note, i.e. the A, in the bass. You can have any note of the chord you want in the bass, alright? And the way that this is telling you, when it's putting, I'll try and sort of show you, I'll put an annotation up on the screen, but what it does is it puts F, because that's the chord you've got to play, then an oblique stroke, and then A, which is the note that it wants in the bass. And there are loads of examples of that in this song, alright? So it is quite important to be able to read that little bit if you ever want to be able to play it. Alright, so now, right, we've got this cadence here. The sun is going down, it's getting dark. That chord. Okay, and now suddenly we're going back to B flat. I realise I'm cold. I can't sing. I really can't sing today, right? But where she's saying, I realise I'm cold, that's quite a sad mood. Now this is where the tension is beginning to build up, because we've got a happy chord on sad words. I realise I'm cold, right? And then suddenly this F with A in the bass comes back again. The rain begins to pour, right? Again, it's a happy chord. It's not quite where we want it. It's a little bit unsteady because we've got that A in the bass, right? And then as I watch the windows, and we've got another unsteady chord. Again, it's B flat major, but we've got a D. D again is the middle note of that B flat chord, because you'd have B flat, D and F in a B flat major chord, alright, but we've got D in the bass, alright. So I realise I'm cold, happy, the rain begins to pour, quite happy-ish but a bit expectant. As I watch the windows, this is another, that B flat with D in the bass, as I watch the windows on the second floor, G minor, sad. As I watch the windows on the second floor, we don't know what to expect here. This song is getting really, really unsettled and disturbed. All right. Now the lights are on. The lights are on. That's an E flat major chord there. It's time to go. And then you've got this little bit that I can't read here because they put D sharp and A sharp instead of E flat. So the lights are on. It's time to go, and then you've got this little bit here. And then it's time at last to let him know, major. This is empowering ourselves, being bold. So we've got an F major, B flat major. Now that again, just up here, like the sun is going down, it's getting dark. That's fine, and it sounds final. Okay, but here we've got it's time at last to let him know, and by the time we've got to the end of that line, you might expect it's time at last to let him know, and that would be fine, except it doesn't. It leaves us in midair. Okay, so we've got it's time at last, which is final, to let him know. E flat to end that whole section is E flat, but it's not even a normal E flat, it's E flat again with the third or the middle note, as it were, E flat, G, B flat, so it's got the G in the bass, alright? So that's unsettling us. We don't know what's going to happen. It should be nice and fine. It's time at last to let him know. Something like that, and that would be wonderful, wouldn't it? And it would be so optimistic, but it would be so optimistic that it's twee, okay? We've got a cliffhanger like the drums at the end of EastEnders here. Okay, alright, so we're ending on this E flat, alright, and then on the record, they haven't actually annotated this bit here, but on the record there is a Dancing Queen-esque glissando coming down from the C this time. Something like that. I'm not very good at doing them. This one here, Don't Shut Me Down, is doing the same thing, except that instead of it beginning on a major chord, it's beginning on a minor chord. And what is happening here is now the key is shifting, it's going up. We've been in B flat major the whole time. There's been a couple of weird bass notes, but there's been no notes that have ever suggested that we're going to leave that key of B flat major. But now suddenly we're being established into the key of C minor for the first verse properly, okay? And it is with these chords that are a fourth apart, just like in Dancing Queen, but we're starting on a minor and going to a major. So you've got like that. So you've got this. It's not a dissimilar introduction to Dancing Queen. Yeah. Alright. So then we've got, I believe it would be fair to say, you look bewildered. That's quite an unsettling statement. She would quite like it to be some sort of happy bewilderment, like, hey, aren't you glad to see me? Where have you been all these years kind of thing? So I believe it would be fair to say, you look bewildered. Right? And that's taking us back to that B flat centre there. Alright? We shouldn't be there, because we've now moved into C minor. Yeah? You look bewildered. And then we go to G minor. And you wonder why I'm here today. Minor chord here. C minor. To A flat. Which is now putting us heavily into C minor. And then we've got an E flat with a G in the bass. And so should I would. And now that B flat, because we're in this C minor tonality here, that chord of B flat is now leaving us somewhere in mid-air, right? Whereas the sun is going down, it's getting dark, it's nice and final. Here we've got and you wonder why I'm here, C minor, A flat, and E flat with that G in the bass. So you should, I would, and it's leading us into mid-air. Okay, so then we're now having a brief jaunt into E flat major, which is the related major key of C minor. Okay, so here we've got 3 flats in the key signature. Okay, and we've had a key shift that's gone up from B flat to C minor. Okay, B flat major, a major key is a bright, happy key. A minor key is a sad key. So then we're going to its related major key, so the mood brightens. When you left, I felt I'd had enough. Nice bright chords against dismal words. When you left, I felt I'd had enough. And here we've got this beautiful, lovely. Isn't it lovely? When you left, I felt I'd had enough, darling. You know, there's no, it's weird. Happy, when you left I felt I'd had enough. Okay, staying on the same chord, but in the shape and form, I appear now. I have learnt to cope, and this is the key line really. I have learnt to cope, nice major chord, and love and hope, nice major chord but with a dodgy note in the bass, i.e. that third, it's E flat with G in the bass, okay, and then A flat building us up to B flat, and then we've got this chord of G major. Which is leading us up into the chorus, okay? Now I'm sorry that's a little bit rambly, but the thing that you need to take away from that is A, that we've had this chord rise. It's slightly optimistic, there's a tinge of sadness, tinge of nerves, or whatever that's getting in there because we've gone from B flat to C minor. We have got loads of statements where it might be happy music, but quite sad words. It might well be the other way around. Occasionally, as in the beginning, the first line in the beginning, we've got happy chords, happy sentiments. Okay? Occasionally we get sad chords and sad statements. There's going to be another step up now. Right, so B flat major to C minor. Now we're going into C major. A major sound is much brighter, it's much happier than a minor one, so we're getting this lift. Okay, so we've had this little, and now this is the beginning, C major, and now you see another me. I've been reloaded. Nice, happy, bright, optimistic chord of C major. Alright, I'm fired up, don't shut me down. You would expect another major key here. Yeah, I'm fired up. I'm ready to go. But I'm fired up, don't shut me down. Okay? I'm like a dream within a dream that's been decoded. I'm bloody amazing now, everybody. But I've got a nice minor chord there to go with it. Okay, but we do eventually get to nice major chord. I'm fired up, I'm hot, don't shut me down. Okay, and that's that 5-1 cadence, but this time it's just a bit higher up. Okay, and in a major key. So whereas before it was the sun is getting down, it's getting dark, and here it's exactly the same. I'm fired up, I'm hot, don't shut me down. And then you've got this chord 5 here, leading you into the second half of this chorus. I'm not the one you knew. Nice and powerful, nice and bright. I'm now and then combined with now, instead of going to a minor chord like it did in the first half, it's going to a major chord, but with that unsettling middle note that's been doubled in the bass. Alright? So it's G with B in the bass, okay? The one you knew, and now and then combined, and I'm asking you to have an open mind. It's a bit sad, it's a bit uncertain. Okay? Nice major chord to end that though. I'm asking you to have an open mind. Okay, it's nervous, isn't it? And then you've got the backing vocals. I won't be the same. I can't sing it, sorry. Okay? And then I'm not the same this time around. I'm fired up, don't shut me down. And that's the end of the chorus, folks. And it leaves you in absolute mid-air. The music's saying one thing, the words are saying another. You know, you've got I'm fired up, don't shut me down on a minor chord. Yeah? The first time it comes around. I'm like a dream within a dream that's been decoded on a minor chord. Okay? And then I'm now and then combined, major chord, but with a slightly odd sounding B in the bass. Yeah? And then I'm asking you to have an open mind. There's minor chords there. And I'm not the same this time around. It sounds like it's going to go to, because it's chord 4 in C major, which would be F major. Okay, I'm not the same this time around. That's where it wants to go, to chord 1, i.e. C major itself, but it doesn't. Okay, again, we do have a C major, but we've got the middle note of C, which is E in the bass. Now that's important, because C major should be, because we're in C major, it should be the thing that's grounding us, but because we've got C, E, G, and we put the E in the bass, it's leading us to be just so not sure, okay? I'm not the same this time around. And then you've got the ooh, and then I'm fired up, right? Which is based on a G in the bass, going to a chord of C, but still with that G in the bass. So we're not finishing there, and then Don't Shut Me Down is a chord of F, i.e. chord 4 in C major, with an A in the bass. Okay? Now, the next verses, and I'm not going to take you through line by line now, but the next verses do exactly the same thing, but this time, instead of it starting in C minor and going to C major, the key shifts up yet again. Okay, so now we're in D minor for Will You Leave Me Standing in the Hall. I'm not very good at my chromatic scales, but now we're in D major. So the second chorus is a whole tone higher than it was the first time round. Same chord structure, alright, but just a tone higher, alright? And then we have, at the end, we have this little coda. This I have learnt to cope, and love and hope is why I'm here now, that finishes it off, is just so crucial to the understanding of the song, right? It sounds wonderful, doesn't it? Beautiful little sentiments there, love and hope, and that's what brings me here, people. Except, I have learnt to cope. We're in D major here still, okay? So the chord of G, which is learn to cope, is quite happy in D major. It's the fourth chord, right? It's chord 4, okay? You would hope that it would end, because we're at the ending of the song, like an amen cadence, as it were, on a nice chord of D, because that's our key that we're in, okay? But it kind of does, but it doesn't, okay? So we get learned to cope, and love and hope is D, but with the middle note, i.e. the F sharp in the bass, right, is Y, back to the G. So this time it goes down to here now, lands on a D, and everything's all wrapped up nicely and beautifully, and we can all go home. No, we can't. No, we can't. Because actually, when you look at the words of the song and you read them through, it's not even clear whether or not he's said hello, let alone let her in. Right? She's just come out with this great big splurge of emotion at him, and he might be thinking, my God, I've got choir in 10 minutes and the kids still need to have their tea. Do you know what I mean? And we don't know. We just don't know. And so it doesn't end nice and happily on a D, it ends on an A, okay? So, why I am here now. And as far as we're concerned, A is chord 5. It's perfectly happy in the key of D major. No issues with that, except that would you end a song like that? No, you wouldn't. That's as in the air as the Boeing 747 is on the cover of Abba the album, i.e. it's just, you know, I don't know whether or not they got back together, and, you know, this is the crucial difference between As Good As New and Don't Shut Me Down, because with As Good As New, we still don't know whether or not there's been this reunion. But darling, we were always meant to stay together, and it ends, we're in the chord of the key of G flat. And boom. I'm here, and I'm staying here until you take me back, kind of thing. There's absolutely no way that I'm going home empty-handed. There's much more doubt in Don't Shut Me Down, which is why it ends up with, you know, this feeling of total mid-airness. It's been a bit of a rambling video, alright? But what I would encourage anybody to do, I have put up 3 episodes of Read and Write Music. If you're one of the people that's watched that, and when my fan club comes out of the toilet, they'll be in double figures, you might find that's quite useful, alright? Because the last thing that I ended up talking about was how to form major and minor chords in different key signatures, alright? And there's nothing really, apart from the idea of having a chord but with a slightly different note in the bass, there's nothing here that I haven't covered in greater detail. God, greater detail from MarkPMus. There's a surprise on those videos, okay? And it might then You know, if you watch one of those, particularly part 3, and then came back to this, if it didn't make sense, it will do, all right? But, you know, the thing that I just want to take away with you is how they match major and minor chords to different sentiments in the song. And quite often, they're tugging away at one another. Happy music, sad words. Happy words, sad music. Okay? But you've got this, all this is within the key structure, which is getting higher and higher and higher and higher. Just an absolute masterwork here, all right? I'm not going to put the link to where I got these chords on here. It's easy if you just Google or DuckDuckGo it, and you'll find them. It's about 4 down or something, but I did this knowing really that no money at all would be going to Abba, so I fully intend, as a little Christmas present to myself, I fully intend to spend the $16.99 plus postage and packing and get the songbook. All right. As I say, those music notes things, they're not particularly good value for money. They're, you know, over £4 for one song, and it doesn't even matter how many pages it is. Little Things, for example, cost as much as Don't Shut Me Down. So yeah. Anyway, see you later.